Hi, I'm Garm1, and this is Midgardia's Cool Crowdfunding Show. I'm here today with Ben. How's it going?
Hi, going good.
I'm glad to hear it. So you're here today to talk about Summonscape. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I got my Japanese copy right here.
That is awesome.
This this game, so I was over in Japan last October, actually about a year ago, and I had the opportunity to go to an what they called an indie game buffet. And so what they did is they got a bunch of indie creators and they came into a big Yellow Submarine. It's one of the big tabletop RPG shops in Akihabara in Tokyo, and they had the creators run mini versions of their games that they had made with a bunch of participants and stuff. And so I actually got to meet the creator, Lin Yasada, and I sat down with him and I played this game with him. And at the time, I was kind of on the hunt for. I wanted to translate some indie Japanese games, and as soon as I played his, I was like, "This is the first game I want to translate." It is so unique and such a fresh idea for tabletop role playing game that it just blew me away.
So, what do you do in Summonscape?
So, in Summon Skate, you play a figure skater, but not the kind you're thinking of. So, in the world of Summon Skate, figures are these kind of like summons. You got these, they're mythological creatures, mythological deities. You got Thor, you got the Einherjar, you've got the Greek gods and things like that. And the figure skaters are people who summon these figures by drawing out summoning diagrams. But you can't go into battle with giant monsters and stuff and sit there sketching out the diagrams to summon these guys. So instead, the summoners in this game, they strap on skates, they get in their wheelchairs, they get in their segways, whatever slides, whatever can roll, and they bring bring the element of speed, a little bit of extreme sports to the art of summoning. And so this is a game about using your movement to draw out summoning diagrams and summon figures to fight for you while avoiding attacks from these massive enemies.
Right. And I got the impression from the book that it was very, very centered on specifically skating, but I take it that's not the case given your mention of segways.
Oh yeah, actually, so you can there are rules for just about any you know, mode of transportation that a person can ride on. Let me see if I can. Here we go. I don't know how well this is going to show up on the pages, but
I can kind of make it out, yeah. So we're,
so I mean, they've got it for obviously the ice skates and rollerblades and things like that are in there, but there's also you can be a skateboarder, you can ride a scooter, unicycle, um, segways, wheelchairs, sleds, surfboards. So you're riding on magic, not just the ice. So it allows for all kinds of different things.
I was completely sold on just it's figure skating but really hardcore. Like, Yuri on Ice, but it's also JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Um, I am also very, very much down for Tony Hawk's Pro Persona Summoner.
Yeah. Yeah, that's and that's actually we've often told folks that you can it's Persona on Ice or JoJo's Bizarre Ice Capades.
Yuri's Bizarre Adventure, or what have you,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So it's a fairly esoteric concept. So how does it work in practice?
So what you've got when well the game's kind of broken up into two different sections, and the first section is kind of an investigation that you do. Now if you know about Japanese tabletop role playing, you know that they love Call of Cthulhu. It is their absolute favorite game of all time. And so, even in little, like, really niche indie games like this, you still see that influence. And so, there is this investigation phase where you're looking into distortions in your city, these weird, chaotic events that are happening. And what you're trying to do is determine the kind of overall emotion of the chaos of these different things. Like, is it confusion? Is it anger? Is it greed? Is it envy? That kind of thing. And once you've kind of drawn a line through all of these distortions and figured out what kind of chaos is being caused, you can manifest the chaos. And so what that does is it takes like all that anger or all that confusion or whatever, and it manifests it into this giant monster. And most of these monsters are based off of the Cthulhu mythos, which it's just the one that Japanese players are most familiar with. And so once that happens, the players and the monster are teleported to a 12 by 12 grid. Let me pull up the page in the book. That is the grid. If I can find it. There it is. So, and we'll be, I mean, folks that are getting the PDF of this, they'll get a nice big PDF version of this they can print out. But you get put onto this grid, and on your turn, you have a certain amount of movement points that you can use. And depending on how many players there are, you have more or less movement points per turn. And so you're trying to use, it becomes almost like a board game where you're trying to use a limited resource, which is your movements, to prioritize what kind of symbols you want to draw out. And each person is going to have a pool of figures, which are the different symbols that summon the different deities that they can draw from. And so you have to have a lot of strategy and a lot of co-op thinking about, well, do I want to, can I, like, do I want to draw a small symbol that I know I can finish this turn, but that's not as effective? Or do I want to risk it and take multiple turns to draw a bigger figure? Do I want to use do I want to focus on using an attack figure right now? Things like that. And meanwhile, on the enemy's turn, these giant enemies, they're rolling these attacks that hit this grid, and they've got two goals. One is to kill you, obviously. I mean, the easiest way. But the other thing is that when they hit the grid, they actually shatter parts of it. And so you have these cracks that start forming in the grid, and those can interrupt your summoning figures, so they can erase anything that you're working on that gets caught up in them. And if the cracks extend from from one side of the board to the other, the stage is shattered and it's game over. So you have to balance out trying to get your figures down in time with dodging these attacks and trying to keep the stage repaired, which you can do through different. Some of the figures can help you repair that stage. So you have a lot of different things that are being balanced, and so you have to really work together with your teammates and understand the power of your different figures and when's best to use them.
Right, and completing a figure is basically like a one-off kind of attack thing. Is that correct?
Yep, you finish out once you finish out the symbol. So there's three phases, or yeah, there's three phases to the to each turn of the battle. There's the skate phase, which is where you're actually drawing out the symbols, and then there's the summon phase, which is where any symbols that you've finished, you can then burn those to summon the figure. And some figures are like one and done. You summon them, they do their attack, and then they're gone. And some of them have permanent effects where you summon them, and then as long as they're out there and nothing cancels them, no like enemy attack interrupts them or anything, they continuously give you an effect.
Right, right. So I may be able to like, summon Vulcan and have him repair a bit of the ice or something, and then next turn
Mhm.
summon Thor and have him smack a guy in the face with a hammer.
Yep. And the good thing is that anything that you've summoned, you can use them whenever. Once you've got them summoned and you have them activated, you can choose to burn them right then, or you can use them whenever. So you can summon healing figures, and you can literally use them like right when you're going to take that death blow. So
Nice.
it has a lot of safety nets for catching you if you plan it out really well.
That's cool. I like that. It's very strategic.
Oh yeah,
So, is this your first major translation project or
as a person or as a company.
uh first one then the other?
So personally, no. This is I've been in translation for quite a while. Um, I don't know how much we want to talk about fan stuff, but some of my translation's been above the board and some of it has not. I think that's pretty common for most Japanese translators. I think a lot of us have gotten into, scanlation, anime subs, and stuff like that. But my biggest official translation was I was with J Novel Club and I translated the novel series Beatless, which you can find on Amazon. It's a kind of a post-human sci-fi kind of story about romance between a man and a robot. It was a pretty interesting experience. But other than that, I've worked on. I was part of the fan translation project for Sakura Wars, the Sega Saturn tactical game, and I also helped out with the translation of Little Busters, the visual novel that's on Steam. So I've been around a little bit. Unfortunately, I was in more fan stuff than I was in official stuff, so it's hard to list out my history without digging up some skeletons.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. We don't have to get too deep into that. Uh, you don't have to reveal all of the illicit Evangelion translations you've done or something.
Yeah. But then as a company, so as Silvervine Publishing, this is our very first project. And it was we chose it as our flagship title, um, both because it is super unique. Well, not both, but because it's super unique. Because it's really pretty. Like it's 100% color, full color. He does these. You got to see these. The monster drawings that he did are just like here's one of the boss creatures, the Chaos Angel.
Nice. That's rad.
Um, oh, and here's let me see if I can. Here's his. Oh man, here's his Cthulhu.
On the layout of
So
these
he,
is excellent as well.
yeah, and the layout is just amazing. It's very professional, and so we were very impressed by that. And we just Lin Yasada as a person, like one of the things we wanted to do as a company was not just, bring over some games that we thought would be really fun, but also connect these really amazing Japanese indie creators with the rest of the world. And Lin Yasada is just an impressive guy, and not like because he's famous, but because like I was really impressed when I sat down to play this, and I noticed that one of the core sample characters is in a wheelchair. She's a wheelchair dancer, and I was really impressed with that. I was really impressed to see non-binary characters and support for non-binary characters. And the more I learned about this guy, the more I wanted to, share information about him with the world because his like life work is studying tabletop games and how they can be used to educate people and to bring people together. He has other projects that he's doing right now besides Summon Skate. He's got one that is a game that's meant to be played with large crowds of like students and stuff. It's literally meant to be an RPG that 100 people can play at once. And his intent with that is getting classrooms and children to participate in it to get their, creativity flowing and have these activities. And he's also working on a game that is meant to help neurodiverse people to get into the role playing hobby. That maybe that kind of eases folks in that need a little help with these things. And so the the level that this guy is kind of trying to bridge all of these different bring everybody to the table basically. I just love that, and I think that he is a great guy. He's very humble, he's very kind. He's on our Discord server, and he is always very happy to interact with fans. And um, I wanted to bring his work to the world so that more people could hear about him because he's such an amazing guy.
Yeah, that's super cool, and it's something you hear about in the Western indie community a lot. That kind of focus, a bit
Yeah,
rarer in the Japanese indie community.
no, exactly. And like it I was really blown away when I heard about that because yeah, it's just such a like I mean, that's the kind of stuff you don't even see in like JRPGs or anything these days. Like it's not super inclusive if we're being honest. And so seeing something that this person is trying to is using his indie creativity to bring inclusivity into this hobby in Japan is just amazing to me.
Yeah, it's super cool. So you said this is your first project as Silvervine Publishing. What's the future look like for you guys after Summons Gate?
Well, so up on our website, you can find information about our second project, Floria, the Verdant Way. That is another really, really interesting project. I don't want to talk about it too much during the Summonscape video, but I'll have to be back once we get the Kickstarter for that going because that's another really, really interesting one. And after that, we've got more. There's I can't get into any specifics, unfortunately, but I'm hoping that we're going to be able to make some really big announcements soon. But the takeaway is definitely that we have a long line of creators that are interested in working with us. We have several other titles that are in various stages of being prepared. So Summon Skate and Floria are both 100% translated, so they're ready to go. And I'm currently making my way through my translation of project number 3. And then after that, we've got a few more queued up. So, I mean, really, we're going to be translating these games until they nail my coffin shut. But and that's not just me, always wanting to have these games coming out. There's just so many unique titles over there that I don't think I'm ever going to run out of even just focusing on the most unique ones, the most interesting ones. I'm definitely going to have, years and years of stuff going out. And just like with the Summon Skate Kickstarter, which we're keeping it very lean, we don't do any stretch goals. We don't do any kind of, special bonus stuff. It's just a pre-order for things that we already have prepared. And the reason we do that is so that we can do it, get it done, and move on to our next project. And so we're hoping that each year we're going to be able to bring out several projects. So I know there's kind of a reputation among the Japanese game Kickstarters that they take a really, really long time to come out. And so we wanted to kind of turn that over and show that people can trust Silvervine to constantly be bringing out new stuff at a pretty good pace.
Excellent. And is there any plans for I know there's another major company that's done some translation work in the past, and they've occasionally put out like Western exclusive expansions and stuff. Is there any plans for that kind of thing, or are you a straight translation shop at this point?
At this point, it will be straight translation, but I'm always going to be encouraging our fans if they want to make additional content. Most of these games are produced under the Creative Commons, and so the creators are very happy to support any kind of fan expansions, scenarios, and things like that. And we will always be 100% behind those kind of movements.
All right. So if somebody wants to make the competitive summon skate hockey game, it's gonna have to be me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to see the summon skate LARPing rules.
Oh, oh, my legs hurt just thinking about that. I've fallen down skating many times, and yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah,
But
but it would be something to see.
oh yeah, oh yeah. And yeah, the art on this is wonderful. It's definitely something that's gonna stand out on a shelf. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, and I mean, we went through the different, kinds of options that drive through RPG offers, and we decided we want to go all in, like premium color, hardback. We want people to really get something that they can enjoy for years. Um, and yeah, I guarantee anybody that picks up the physical version is going to be blown away by this guy's art. And not just because I mean, his art looks really good, and the design lead for Silvervine Publishing, he's had experience with DC Comics. He's great at doing touching things up, making them a little bit sharper and stuff. And so he's done some amazing work, and the colors and everything just pop. I mean, I'm going to be honest, we still have not gotten our hands on our first physical copy. We're still working the kinks out of getting those shipped, getting our sample copies shipped. But just looking at the PDF work that's been done, it's going to be great.
Yeah. So the production status of this is pretty much, it's not quite ready to hit the presses, but you're like 1 or 2 months out from.
Oh yeah. The PDF will be available day one as soon as the Kickstarter ends. That's our pledge, and we're sticking to it. As far as the physical version, we're going to give ourselves a few more months just because of shipping, mainly. We know that it's going to take a while to ship stuff back and forth, and so um, yeah. But we are dedicated to making sure that we're sticking within those schedules.
Right, right. So,
So everything's ready. All we have to do now is make sure that the print looks good, maybe make some minor adjustments. But as far as the book itself, it's ready to go. And so, uh, regardless of when the print copies get out with COVID shipping and everything like that, everybody who picks up either the physical version or the PDF version will be able to play right when that Kickstarter ends.
excellent. And does the book come with any like pre-made adventures or anything like that?
Yeah, there is one of each of the three types. We haven't really gotten into the three types of adventures, but there are basically, depending on how in depth of a game you want to do. Um, Yasada has kind of split it. Mr. Yasada has kind of split it up into these three play types. So he has what he calls the short program, which is a very scripted kind of game where basically you're just investigating points on a map, and then at the end you do the battle. And so it's very simple to set up, very easy. And so he has an example of those. And then there's the long program, which is more like a classic tabletop RPG experience where you have scenes, it's more open ended. There's a story being told and things like that. And then there is the final type is called World Resurrection, and this is one of the ones that's very unique to this setting because it's actually a game over setting. It's a what happens after you lose kind of thing, because in this game your enemy is chaos. Just chaos in general is trying to melt your city back into itself. And so if you lose, that happens, and you and all your friends in your city dissolve into chaos. But using the world resurrection rules, what you do is you basically do world building. There is a table that you roll on, and it asks you questions about memories that you have about this city that you live in, this fictional city that your characters live in. And so together you go around the circle and kind of come up with, lore and memories about this town, and it reshapes it from the chaos, and then you can fight the chaos that dissolved it and have a second chance to bring back your town. And so there's example scenarios for each one of those. There's one for each to kind of instruct you. But I think it's really cool that he has it set up so that if you want to do a short convention game, you do the short program. The long program is more for the normal role playing, and then if you want to really dig into doing the world building. Also, if you lose, you can always come back with the world resurrection.
And I appreciate that the short program, long program distinction is like straight from figure skating terminology.
Yeah. Yeah, he's man, this guy did his homework. I tell you, like, I was really impressed by some of the symbols for the deities and stuff. He goes to some really old lore to dig up these old like runes and other like ancient Japanese symbols for certain things. Um, and his stuff with the Call of Cthulhu, the Cthulhu mythos stuff that he gets into is pretty deep cuts. I remember there's a monster in here called the Hound of Tindalos, which famous H.P. Lovecraft story, but it has an attack called Born from the Curves, and I read that in Japanese. I was like, what does that mean? And I had to dig up the story, and I was like, oh, the Hounds of Tindalos are born from the curves of time, and humanity is born from the straights. It was like all this like really deep lore stuff that like only the tabletop role playing nerds in Japan would get. Because they love Call of Cthulhu, like it's crazy. But no, I was very impressed, and so I think even just like flipping through this book to look at all the different deities and I think I mean you've mentioned Persona and stuff, and that's my favorite thing in the like Shin Megami Tensei series is looking up the lore on each of the different gods and monsters and stuff. And so if you like that kind of thing, you're gonna really like flipping through the figure section and seeing like where he pulled these different figures from and where their runes come from and stuff like that. It's really cool.
That's sick. I'm looking forward to this.
Oh yeah.
So you've done all the layout and everything. What kind of like accessibility features do you have in this book? Is it like screen reader compatible and that kind of stuff?
um,
Am I
I'm
capable
not
of like
sure.
am I
That's so unfortunately I'm that's most all of the PDF preparation and stuff is actually handled by the other guy. Unfortunately, I'm just kind of the translator, so I translated it onto a Word document and kind of tossed it to him. So um, I think the best thing to say is that we're very interested in making our games as accessible to everybody as possible. So if anybody has suggestions about things like that, please let us know. It is our first time, so we're gonna the anything like that people are interested in. If you let us know through the Kickstarter or get onto our Discord and talk with us about it, those are things that while we're still here preparing the PDF, that we'd love to hear about, so that's something that we can take into account. Because it is our first time, and so there's things that like it's obvious after you think about it, but the first time you hear it, you're like, oh yeah, we do have to do that, don't we?
Yeah, yeah, I know how it goes. And if anybody makes comments about that, down in the comment section below, I will forward them on. Um,
Absolutely, yeah. Let us know. We are, and that's the great thing about this being an indie work is on both sides is that we're very lean. We can turn around, we can change things very very easily, and so we'll be able to do things like I mean through Drive Through RPG, we're going to be able to do updates in errata for our PDFs, give people updated versions of stuff like that. So it'll be, and also it allows us to do things like publish extras. There may be, if I know Mr. Yasada is working on possibly some new monsters and stuff, and so once those come out, we can have those released as different bundles and stuff. So it's really cool working with Drive Through RPG. They make everything very streamlined to get the PDF out and also the print version.
yeah, they're a pretty good firm. They've come a long way over the years. Good lord, I've had an account on there for like seven years somewhere in there. I still
Yeah,
remember.
and
Sorry, go ahead.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I still remember the days where you'd go to checkout and it would be like, if you plan to purchase multiple things, please buy them all in the same order to reduce our processing fees. Good times.
Oh man. But really, Drive Through RPG was what really inspired me to start this because um, before that, I mean, before I really kind of learned about that, I was really intimidated by the thought of, trying to do a print run and have, you know, uh, storage space and having to, figure out the logistics of selling these things, which I know some of the older Japanese TRPG translations had to deal with. And so it was really nice having this kind of opportunity, something that can help indie folks sell directly. So that was kind of clicked in my head, and I said, hey, I could offer these people to translate and then sell their games through Drive Through RPG. And but one of the founding principles for Silvervine was that we're not really in this for profit. Our our margins are very very slim on this. We're selling the books at a very I think very reasonable price, and then the majority of what you're paying goes right back in the pockets of the creators. We take our cut, of course, but we try and take a very very small cut. And so I can confidently say that the majority, the greater half of everything that is paid is going back to the creators. And so we want to support them. We want to support their future projects. We want them to, get the recognition they deserve.
Right, absolutely. Do you have any other things that you'd like to bring up while you're here?
Um, I really encourage anybody who's interested in finding out about Japanese tabletop role playing, or that wants to meet these amazing creators that we are making contracts with. Come join us on our Discord. The creators are there. We talk with them. They they use Google Translate and they talk with us. They're very happy to meet new fans, meet new people that are interested in that. We have a lot of people that are a lot of other translators, a lot of other folks that are involved in translating Japanese tabletop games, and a lot of people that are very interested in these kind of games. So you can find other people to play with. Once Summon Skate comes out, it'll be a great place to get together and look for games, set up games, and we'll have tips and advice on how to run those things. And it's a good place to give us feedback or just let us know what you're hoping for. And especially if there's Japanese games out there, Japanese indie tabletop games that you've heard about that you're interested in, let us know, and we might be able to pick them up. So definitely come join us. Our Discord is open for everybody. And if you sign up on if you donate anything through our Kickstarter, we will be having a special Discord channel, which we will be using to give people exclusive previews of all our future projects.
Nice. Yeah, there's a. I've definitely considered ordering games off of like Play Asia and paying somebody to translate them. So this is great for me.
Yeah, no, and I every time I dive in, I'm just blown away by the how many unique titles are out there, and there's more coming out every year. Um, this month, actually, there's a big convention in Tokyo called the Game Market, and that's the big place where all the new indie tabletop games, both RPGs, card games, board games, come out. And I'm kind of sad that I can't go to Japan right now because I'd love to go there and try and scout out some new titles. But
Yeah.
we're excited. We're excited. And who knows? I mean, we're right now we're in tabletop RPGs, but we're also really big card game fans, and so we know there's some indie tabletop card games out there that are being made in Japan as well. So we're keeping our eyes out for some future projects.
I'm glad to hear it. There's some weird ones out there.
Yeah, yeah.
I've seen Barbarossa. I know how high the bar goes. Uh,
Yeah, we I don't think we're gonna go. I don't think we're gonna go there, but
Barbarossa's
no, there's
already
some.
taken, tragically.
Yeah, yeah, no, but there's some really interesting stuff out there. It's really there's just a boom of really creative folks, and I think one of the big strong points that they have going for them is that they have a very cheap access to really good art. I mean, through like Pixiv and things like that, they have a lot of really good, anime style artists that are readily available there. And so, one of the things you're going to see on most of our works is that you're going to see a lot of really good art. And I think that alone is just a like really big selling point. Like a lot of our games, I think people are going to buy them just to flip through them for the art and stuff. And that, I mean, Summon Skate is really good, and Floria, man, when we get to Floria, the art is just beautiful. Like, oh, I'm so excited for that one. Got to focus on Summon Skate for now, but Floria is coming next, and that's going to be great
Yeah, I've seen the little preview page for Floria, and it looks good. I'm very
too.
excited for that too. But for now,
Yeah,
Summon
well,
Skate.
yeah, no, absolutely. And so, yeah, as soon as Summon Skate's over, next up is Floria. So hopefully, I'll be back here talking about that.
I hope so as well. And with that, it's been great talking to you, Ben.
Yeah, no, it's been really fun.
And yeah, there's a link to the Kickstarter down below. There should be one to the Discord as well. If I forget anything, it's probably gonna be that one. But yeah, take a look at the description. And yeah, again, thank you for coming on, Ben. It's been a joy. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. You have a great program, and hope to see more awesome Kickstarters through you guys.
I'm sure you will. Thank you very much. And for those of you watching at home, have a good night.